Hi there, children from Abiding Love. It's good to have you here and everyone who's with you. Today I'm going to tell the first two parts of this story, Knowing Jesus in a New Way. They're for the first two Sundays after Easter, the White Sundays, that there are 6 of them because Easter is such a big mystery that it overflows into 6 more Sundays. So here are the first two parts of Knowing Jesus in a New Way. On the first day of knowing Jesus in a new way, the women went to the tomb. There were 3 Marys. Mary Magdalene seemed to lead the way, and there was Mary, the mother of James, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, among others. Mary Magdalene was not a mother. She was a strong and good friend. They were carrying spices to finish the burial, and they wondered how they would get inside. When they got to the tomb, the stone had been rolled away, and they could look in. When they looked in, they saw nothing but the white linen cloth that had been on his body. They went back to tell the others, but most didn't believe them. Peter, being Peter, jumped up and ran to the tomb, and some say that John ran with him and got there first. He waited and went in with Peter together. They could feel the presence in the absence. But Jesus was not there. He was gone, truly gone. Mary Magdalene came up and stood outside weeping. Peter and John went back, but Mary stayed. "Woman, why are you weeping?" Through her tears, she saw 2 men dressed in white. "Jesus has gone on. Tell the disciples to meet him in Galilee." "Woman, why are you weeping?" another voice asked. She turned and saw someone she thought was the gardener. "Tell me where they have taken him, and I will go and take him away." "Mary." This time he said her name, and she knew it was he. Mary must have taken a step forward because Jesus said, "No, you cannot hold me. I am risen, but have not yet ascended." And then he was gone. Mary went back and told the others. Now, this is the part when we tell the story in our Godly Playroom where you can look around the classroom and see all the different materials from the different stories that can be used to help tell this part of the story even better. And you might notice in your homes that there are things that can also help that you might want to just pause the video for a moment and go and get and bring here. I found this stone in my garden, and it reminds me of the stone that was rolled away from the tomb when the women came to see. On the second Sunday of knowing Jesus, of the season of Easter, we remember how on the afternoon of the first Easter, 2 of Jesus' followers were making their way slowly toward Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They must have been shaking their heads with wonder as they walked and talked about all the things that had happened that week. The cross, the empty tomb, what did it mean? A stranger joined them, and they didn't pay him much attention until he asked, "What are you talking about? Are you the only one in Jerusalem who hasn't heard of the things that have taken place in the last 3 days?" "What's happened?" "The cross. the empty tomb. There's been so much. You are foolish and slow of heart. Listen. And as they walked, he opened the scriptures to them. Do you remember when we were exiled and and trapped in Egypt, and Moses led us through the waters into freedom? Do you remember when we were trapped in our freedom in the desert, and God gave Moses the 10 Commandments to guide us? Do you remember when we were trapped in exile, and the prophets said that a child would lead us, and that someone would come and suffer and die so that we might be really alive? By this time, they had come to the village of Emmaus. The stranger was about to go on, but the two asked him to stay, and he did. When they sat at the inn at supper, the stranger took a piece of bread. He gave thanks to God for it and broke it, and then he shared it with the two. And in that moment, they knew who he was. But then he was gone. They took some time sitting around the table and talking. Now they knew why their hearts had been burning within as they walked along the road with him. They got up slowly from the table and hurried back to Jerusalem to tell the others that he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. So you may want to find something that helps tell this part of the story a little more. I found this Bible that reminds me of Jesus telling the disciples the scriptures along their path from Emmaus or to Emmaus. And this Bible is actually from the travels to the youth convention in New Orleans, probably 20 years ago. And so one of my children had it, and they were traveling as they were reading that. So thank you for being here, for listening to the story. And we will continue with the other parts of knowing Jesus in a new way on the next Sundays, and hope to see you. May God bless you and keep you well and happy and safe. Jesus loves you, and so do we all here.